Welcome back into Sikkim 365 Radio. Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, joins us in his weekly segment. And Mack, I'm just going to tell you, Smokey is skipping out on the show today because he's going to see the Rolling Stones in Dallas. So,
well, I'm not going to say anything, but other than, he grew up with the Rolling Stones.
Yes, very much so.
Do you have a bucket list concert that you'd like to go see in the very few moments that you get away from athletic directing?
Yeah, my favorite group and still is, and I've been able to see them, a couple times are the Eagles. I'd love to see Bruce Springsteen. I've never had the opportunity to see him. So that would be one that comes to mind.
So, Mack, big win over Texas this past weekend. Had to come from behind. A very good game between both teams. I'm a big fan of Steve Sarkisian whenever I've listened to him talking and been around him. Good fight from Texas, but a better fight from your guys. What were your thoughts on, now moving on and finishing that homestand 4-0 over the last 5 weeks, being right in the thick of the Big 12 race?
Yeah, I thought it was a really, really good test for us, and again, I think Steve Sarkisian is a really good football coach and a great hire by UT, and but I guess I was most happy about our team's resiliency, and we didn't necessarily play our best game the first half, and some of it was because of the opponent, but I thought, a lot of it was just self-inflicted. And, we didn't let that carry into the second half. Went into the locker room. I think our staff and our young men did a great job of making some adjustments, but even, more than just adjustments, just, mentally, coming out with a different mindset. And maybe not as cautious and just playing at full speed. So was so I was really, really happy for them and certainly Coach Aranda. And again, I think that's a really talented UT team that we were able to beat and come from behind. And now it sets us up for another rival game. At TCU. Obviously. With the news coming out of Fort Worth, there's probably uncertainty as to what to expect. But I know Coach Aranda will do his best to get our team prepared.
How much of that you talked about the team not overreacting to things and adjusting well is the old cliche of teams taking on the personality of their head coach? That sequence at the end of the half for a team that was immature could have been disastrous after you throw an interception and spot them the ball with not a lot of time and a great opportunity to score late in the half. I mean, it could have been really messy. And what did Baylor do? Just kind of, all right, let's go get an interception. Let's go make a play. And that's what they did. Is that them taking on Coach Aranda's, even-keeled to infinity degree personality that he has?
Yeah, no, Paul, I really think it is. And I've been doing this long enough to where, I do think there's truth behind, even though it's a cliche, but I think there is real truth behind, a team, culture, attitude takes on the head coach's personality. And so I think that's a big part of it. This idea of just keep pounding the rock. Don't worry, there's going to be adversity. There's going to be, downs within a football game. And, usually the team that wins, is the team that doesn't allow those downs to continue, those lows to continue or continue for an extended period of time. They're able to just keep pounding and moving forward. So, very much, who Coach Aranda is.
Mack, I'm sure you don't want to talk too specifically about other schools and what they're doing, but just in general, over the last 24, 48 hours, I mean, Dave Aranda was downright emotional talking about what Gary Patterson has meant to him as a football coach. Lincoln Riley was clearly, kind of peeved at the idea of Patterson leaving midseason. I was listening to Matt Campbell. He was kind of hurt by the news. I know it's a business, and I know why TCU and Texas Tech and others are trying to get ahead of the curve as far as candidates and the early signing day and all that. But what do you make of a coach like that in today's landscape? Just being out in the middle of a season, regardless of whether it was his decision or what have you.
Yeah, it's a tough conversation to have, quite frankly. I've got great respect for Coach Patterson and what he's meant to college football, and certainly to TCU as well as Coach Wells at Texas Tech. And I also have great respect for my counterparts, both Kirby and Jeremiah, and those decisions are hard. And we have entered into this period of time, and we've been in it for probably the last five, 6 years, right? Just this enormous pressure to win and consistently win all the time and win immediately. And you think of some of the great coaches, football, basketball, years ago that didn't exist. And some of those great coaches, if we were present time, wouldn't be coaching anymore. And it's crazy to think about that. We're just in this different time, different place. I don't know if it's because of everything is seen, everything is on television. I don't know if it's because of social media, but there's just this great pressure and demand to win immediately, win all the time. There's no grace anymore for an off year, and it's just hard. There's never been, I don't think, a harder, tougher time to be a head coach. And for my colleagues at TCU and Texas Tech, man, they're receiving a bunch of pressure from external sources and forces, and so not easy to be in their chair and make those decisions. And right. So it's just it's a difficult time. And we talk as athletic directors, I'm not going to say a lot, but we certainly talk about it.
Is part of this firing coaches early trend that occasionally it would happen? I mean, you'd see it was almost one-off incidents. Like, this is just so bad. There's a personality conflict, a new athletic director, old grizzled coach or something like that happens, and those were things. But is this maybe a function of there's an earlier signing period now, which is really the real signing day, because it's when most schools want to get their guys locked up in December, and schools feel the pressure to get ahead of that curve, that maybe coaches are getting fired earlier than they normally would have?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely, Paul. I think that's part of it. And let's go back to December of 2016 when we hired Matt Rule, right? The early signing period hadn't begun. And so he had some time to put together a really, really good first signing class. Let's just think about how different it may have been, if the early signing period existed then. Is Jalen Petrie, is he here, right? Yeah. When you about that or some others. And so that absolutely is a piece of it. And then I think the other piece of it is, when you have a job or jobs open that or one job open, and within a certain region. And so now you've got schools where, hypothetically they're going to be talking to the same candidates. And so, trying to not let one get an edge over the other, and that's real, and so that's part of it as well.
Mack, the college football playoff show, it's beginning its run, and there's already a lot of talk about future Big 12 team Cincinnati. They're unbeaten. They're sitting there at number 2, but you can already start to see kind of the arguments being made of why they're not quite deserving just yet and whatnot. How much attention do you pay to the playoff rankings? Whether or not Baylor's involved, and what are your thoughts as the conversation continues to churn about the expanded playoff and where this thing might be headed in the next few years?
Yeah, so to answer the first part of the question, I really don't pay attention to it at all. And I'm a college football fan, but I to get on that roller coaster and the last poll prior to the bowl season is the one that I pay attention to, and so that's the one that I'm locked into, and then I think that the continued conversation of 4, 8, or 12, I don't know, and I'm not the first person to say this. This has been out there for months and months, but I don't know, what's the real advantage of going to 8? If we're not going to 12, then probably we need to stay at the 4. The 12, obviously it's being looked at extremely close right now. That's the model where there's additional revenue. That's certainly something that I'm keeping my eye on. That I think that's important for the Big 12. I think it's important for some of the other Power 5 conferences. But at the same time, trying to balance, the number of games and student athlete health and safety, which has to be, primary, and become before anything else. And so, I'm monitoring it, and we'll be interesting to see where we land on it.
Mack, I know it's still 10 days away from the open. The men's basketball season, the women's basketball team has started their exhibition, but have you ever had more anticipation for the first night of a basketball season than you do maybe for November 12th, raising that banner?
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. The national championship banner reveal, and looking forward to that. Right now, preseason AP, number 8, and excited for them. I'm excited for November 12th. And, and then, you mentioned women's basketball already starting their season, with versus Texas A&M Commerce right now, again, ranked 7th, and, happy for Coach Collin to get her first win, just one of many, many more to come. And so, again, you think about, Paul and Craig, just how blessed we are. 3 sport programs. When you think about football, men's basketball, women's basketball, one ranked 14th, one ranked 8th, one ranked 7th. We're just, we're really, really fortunate and blessed to have great coaches, great student athletes, and great fans.
Well, speaking of those fans, Mack, I thought it was a pretty nice atmosphere on Saturday at McLane Stadium. Just a lot of energy and a lot of waves of emotion, a roller coaster, so to speak. You just got done with a 1-month stint at home in McLane Stadium. We've talked to you before about some of the tweaks and things y'all made, but how did you feel the home run win at McLane, having those 4 games in a row?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it went well, and Javon's been on your show, and I've certainly talked about it, but there's room for growth, and there still is, and we're still working through students, we're still working through tailgating. I think all of those things are, again, I'm not going to sit here and profess that they're perfect, but I think they're all work in progress. Whether concessions, music, all of those things. We spend a lot of time, Giovanna and her staff spends a lot of time on. And so we're going to continue to evolve. We're going to continue to listen. We're going to continue to get better. And we'll look forward to the remaining home games.
Mack, enjoy the rest of the week and enjoy your trip to Fort Worth on Saturday.
Will do. Appreciate you both.
All right, thanks. It's Mack Rhoades, Baylor Director of Athletics, with us pretty much every week at this time. Last week we had Marcus Sedbury in his place. That was a great talk. We had Javon Overshown in his place a couple weeks, or actually the day after. So always getting the insight. And I do think they're ever going to be morphing that game experience thing. This is I'll tell you, just to put Baylor fans at ease, and I know that if you can read our message board about it, there are tons of complaints, some well-founded and some that are just cranky people kind of things. But
some people cannot wrap their heads around the idea that the events they attend are not perfectly suited and directed and personalized for them.
There's not. It doesn't say "Welcome Tom" on the.
Yeah, sorry, they don't have your favorite food at concessions and your favorite music over the speakers and your at some point, just take in the atmosphere. You're there for a game, after all, not for all of the excess, or at least most people are.
What I love about what Mack and his staff do is it's a constant experiment of let's see what works.
I wasn't asking him about it for anything negative. It's just I wonder how it went. You got 4 home games in 5 weeks, and how do you feel like that went? And I agree with him. I think there's some things they could probably still tweak. I think they need to figure out the student section as far as the Baylor line, not filling up their a number of seats. I think you probably could have fit another 200 fans in there on Saturday, but instead it was just seats because not as many students showed up. So I think there's things like that to look towards, but I'm sure they'll have no problem filling anything if they win this weekend and Oklahoma comes to town in 2 weeks with potentially a game day, type of setting, and certainly regardless of if game day showed up or not, it would be a massive contest between Baylor and Oklahoma. It would be a borderline top 10 game, and certainly a game where the winner probably goes on to play for a Big 12 title. I would think that atmosphere will be the best all season, but they got to win in Fort Worth first.
Yeah, they absolutely do. When we come back,